Okay, class. So this is just about preparing for Monday. There's a test grade, proof of learning, answering the 5 guiding questions, referencing the sources you have, but only having a note card with you during the writing period. We're going to ask you to staple your note card to the to your proof of learning. So, for example, you don't just want to like bring in fully copied out answers, right? Like that doesn't prove that you learned it; it just proved that you copied it down. So that's one like quite important thing here is like you're not supposed to be able to write down all your answers or like copy and like word for word stuff. Like if you have to copy it from your note card, it means you don't learn it. You haven't learned it. Okay, so we are going to be comparing people's note cards with what they wrote. Make sure that you know this. Make sure that you're not just like scribbling down entire sentences that you're going to then throw on a piece of paper and say like I know this, because like I said, you don't know it if you need the note card. So what should your note card look like? Well, you're going to be wanting to make your 3x5 note card based off of your note cards from step 4 when you answered the guiding questions. You're going to be answering these exact same guiding questions for whichever source, whichever guiding topic you picked. So the actual work is going to look like this, right? You are going to be demonstrating your understanding of these things. You're going to be answering your 5 questions. So you're going to tell us what's your context, what's your country, what is your topic. You're just going to pick it. And we are going to give you the IB paper. You should be writing the question number in the box. This is something that you really need to do for paper 1, paper 2, and paper 3. You must be labeling the questions that you're answering, or you're not going to get the points for just answering random questions without indicating it. So you will lose points if you don't identify the question number. You are answering all 5 questions from your guiding topic. We're going to ask you to staple your note card to your writing. So here they are. I'm actually going to probably change these around in a minute because like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these should probably be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That way we clearly know 11 is different from 6 is different from 1. These are the exact same questions that you answered before. And I'm going to sort of show you how I would make a note card. So one thing that you should notice here is we're going to ask you to just reference, here it is, cite your sources either by source or author name. So the key here is you could use the author's name, but what if I have 2 sources by the same author? Or by the name of the source itself, that is completely fine, but we're going to ask you to use these 2 and do them in in-text citations. So I'm going to do an example of this right now, like using my note card to make the card. So here's going to be like, here it is. So I'm doing this one here, country's role. Okay. So, and I've like mastered most of this information by now, so I'm not going to go crazy, but I need to use the source. So I had this article from JSTOR, Timothy Parsons, Mobilizing Britain's African Empire for War. I could use the title, I could use the author. I'm actually going to try to write both of them down just because I feel like that gives me a little bit more flexibility here. And I'm going to use them, Timothy H. Parsons, right? Timothy H. Parsons' article was Mobilizing Britain's Empire for War. That was not the title. See, this is why you gotta like check specifically. Mobilizing Britain's African Empire for War. Mobilizing Britain's African Empire for War. Britain's African Empire for War. Right? So this is like the real key for me. Like I have my source. That's pretty super. I'm just gonna have like a couple quick notes here. Participant, Dominion equals in, fight, resources, draft, etc. All in. No choice, right? I'm keeping my information basic here because I could use this to write a pretty good answer for what I have here, right? So Like, how would I use this on the day of the test? Well, right, like, let me see. What was the country's role in World War One? South Africa's role in World War One was a participant. As a Dominion country of the United Kingdom, South Africa was required to come from other countries' aid in war. They had no other choice. That meant South Africans were going to be participants in the war, both conscripts for fighting, sources for resources for the war effort, and also subject to any imperial decree or laws on diplomacy, trade, travel, rationing, etc. Right? The main group conscripted were white South Africans of honor, descent. Right? So here we go. How does it? Is it perfect? No. Does it prove that I was able to answer the question? Yeah, I hope so. So here is the real key, right? Like, I didn't need to write down all these real notes, right? Like, this was literally all I had, what number I'm answering, what source I'm answering, and then my notes. So that's like what I really recommend. This is what works best for me. Question, what was the question? Source, author's name, and the thing. Oh, wait, I forgot. According to Timothy H. Parson, South Africa's role. So right, like, now I have the thing. Because, like, you would see that this is the note card, right? Sample note card. Sample. Proof of learning. Response. So you can take this right down here. There we go. Bada boom. Right? So what's like another example? Well, let's do one more note card. Question 2. How did the war affect the country's economy, politics, or society? This is the Paul Rich article. I've used this a few times. I'm going to save and close. Go to question 2. It was Paul Rich, race science, indigenous, and West. I won't want to write down this whole entire thing. I'm just going to use the author's name, Paul Rich. Dun, 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 dun. Effect on society. Right? It's an or question. Paul Rich. Great. So, and again, I can make an example here, but I hope that you sort of get the point. What you really need to do for your note card is keep all this information on the note card. Again, you only need on your note card your source name or your author's name. I'm just going to like really quickly check here. Would there be any that I would need to do one or the other on? Oh yeah, so for example here, the Sunday Tribune, South Africa, the author is not listed. It was a newspaper article, The Impact of World War I on South Africa. That is the name of the article. So what I would definitely want to do here is use for question 3, the title. There's no author name. Question 4, I'm using Rich again. Question 5, I am using, this is another example. I'm using the Encyclopedia of Global Resources here at Salem, so I don't have an author's name. I would need to put the title, right? So if you don't have an author, if there are too many authors to list, use the title. That being said, you should be fine just using the author's names. That is what you'll be asked to do. Make sure you staple your note card. Make sure you're only writing down information that will help you prove your learning, not just be evidence that you're copying everything in. And let me know what questions you have from this video. Do my journal entry next.